my PowerPoint presentation to fall back on when my memory fails me or I don't get the words right. But when I look around, I see a collection of faces here, and every one of you, just looking to see who's behind the pole, everyone has contributed in some way to any success that I might have. I think if I was to say too much now, I wouldn't live up to the comments that have been made, even from the two people over in the back over there. But thank you all for coming. Just a slight hesitation till I compose myself. I do get emotional at times. As well as the people who are here, there are a number of people who are away, travelling. There are quite a number of people I would have liked to have been here. A number of people who've passed away as well. I've been here that long. I think I should just mention perhaps a few people whose names come to mind. I mean, first was late Robert Street, physicist, of course. Institute of Physics in London interviewed me for my job, 1979, at 35 Portland Street, which is the same address that we have now, accidentally, but in the Netherlands, not in London. Bob was always very encouraging. I appreciate all his comments as a physicist and as a person. I think the best advice he gave me was, if in doubt, write it down, and the thoughts will become clear. That was much appreciated. And he was able to interact over the years, even after his retirement. The second person, I won't mention everybody by name because it would take me a very long time, but I could, if pressed. But next would be Alan Robson. You can't escape Alan. For Alan Boyle, he met me when I got off the plane with, I'll temporarily forget the name, of Bill Macklin. Anyway, for Alan, he was responsible, I think, for me becoming dean, and then later the head of division of agriculture, science and agriculture, and that was a very interesting time. The Dawkins report had come out in '88. Some of the things were being implemented, and after working with Alan for a couple of years, it became very clear to me that he had enormous knowledge, strength, and was going to do great things for the university, which he has done. And the effect on me was to say, well, I don't want to be, it'd be nice to be second behind Alan, but that would be my position in the university. So to change that, I had to leave or not become an administrator. So I went to research. And that career followed, and in hindsight, not quite expected, but very enjoyable. After that, then I think I tried to get all my administration finished by 1 o'clock as head of school or department. That would not be possible these days. And then into the research lab. And that's when many of the people here in the faces strike a resonant note. There were many, many things that we accomplished. And it's almost the case that everybody who'd worked with me was able to discover something new and to make a very significant achievement. And that's wonderful. But I think it was your input to that made it possible. The other name I'd pick out was Andy Makosa. Past degree, he's very ill at the moment, so he can't be here. But he had a past degree from here in the 50s, joined the Navy, rose through the ranks, captain, in charge of the Naval Training College, retired, and came to do a PhD with me. Ah, wonderful experience to have a mature person who knew what he was about, where he was going, he knew some electronics. Ah, fantastic. Maybe there's somebody else who'd like to come now. He made two very significant achievements, both of which I think are still standing as forefront examples of good experimental practice. After that, had the great misfortune as head of school, department, have the door open, and after a couple of years, a couple of young ladies came in, quite a few years apart. One said, oh, she was the wife of a postdoc. Could she do some physics? Oh, well, yes, she was a theoretician, of course, so anyway, the contribution in angular momentum algebra set the direction for many experiments, and that was really appreciated. She has been head of computing at Durham for a long, long time now, still active. And then, I won't mention her name, but quite a few years later, another young lady came in, also the wife of a staff member, and she thought she might have been an experimentalist, but was wonderful at angular momentum algebra, and along with help from Andrew Stelbovics, then at Murdoch, now at Curtin, we did some wonderful things. They both had the ability, apart from all this mumbo-jumbo with quantum mechanics and algebra and so on, they were able to come out with the concepts and then translate the mathematics into something that you could envisage and put your hand on in the lab and measure something and then prove that this was inconsistent or consistent with some aspects of quantum mechanics. And then, quite a few people now, and I won't take the time to go through the number of various, I'm pointing, by the way, at some significant people, until most recently, Sergei Samrin, who's been with me, he was here somewhere, yes, hiding behind the apparatus, from about the year 2000. I greatly appreciate his thin film surface physics, experimental and quantum mechanical knowledge. Absolutely fantastic. He's made my life a joy in the laboratory, and great, thank you very much. And then, I do have a piece of prompt information here. And last, not least, but perhaps foremost, Now, 55 years of married life would be wonderful. I probably wouldn't have done many of the things without Barbara's help. She gave up her career a number of times as we moved countries, from Australia to Canada, to the US, to the UK, and then back to Australia. The support was wonderful. However, in 1997, she had Guillain-Barré syndrome like polio, and that changed their lives. And there's been a continual improvement since. But partly in combating that problem, it enabled me to spend more time in the lab and do some experimental physics. So from that point of view, we had a wonderful partnership. We'll still have a wonderful partnership. Okay. I knew the emotions would come to me at that point. So I think in closing, I'd say thank you to everybody. My apologies that I'm not able to identify your contribution, but you're here because I thought that you have contributed very much to any success I might have claimed. The important point to finish on is to say, and I would say to all of you, you're only as good as what you're going to do tomorrow. You're as good as your next paper. And that applies to myself. And I hope I'm able to put that in practice. When I came here, I think I had about 29 papers. 19 were single-authored. That just doesn't happen anymore. So I hope that I'm able to perhaps produce, and I'll be unwise, and say that maybe 3 papers a year for a while. But thank you very much. And all of you.
Just invite Sujit Day to say a few words as well.